Hey, what's up, guys? It's Russo, and I've got 4 plays for you for tomorrow's game, September 18th. It's going to be probably ugly. We got the Bills versus the Dolphins, and we're going to break down the spread and everything. But I do have 4 plays that I'm actually feeling decent about. We just got to kind of approach this one the right way because I think there's a good chance that like Josh Allen and potentially James Cook, we'll see. Some of these guys aren't going to get as much run in the fourth quarter if this game gets out of hand. So we're going to break all that down. Going to do a quick recap. So yeah, kind of a wild Sunday and Monday because you guys probably remember I made a mistake and didn't realize there was 2 games. So I ended up putting out 2 videos for Monday. But starting with Sunday, I also got confused. Sunday, I was all over the place. I had Baker in there, but it still did cash. So we went 4 for 4. Brian Thomas Jr. cashed those targets. He ended up going for 12. We got Christian McCaffrey. He hit those receptions. Jackson Smith and Jigba crushed that receiving yards again. And then Baker Mayfield, the dude is just indestructible. And what did I tell you guys about him just like demanding net positive yards on plays? That was a great game. It kind of, not super exciting at first, but second half was wild and wasn't ending. So yeah, Baker ended up going for, I think, like 33 yards. It's kind of small on my screen, but we took him over 15 and a half, and I'll keep taking 15 and a half week after week with Baker right now. So let's talk about the next slip. So this is the first video that I put out for Monday. It didn't do great, 2-2. Sterling Shepard got his. Nick Chubb, he kind of turned things on towards the end there, but didn't get over that 49 and a half yards. Jaden Higgins hit his line over 26 and a half yards, and then Emeka Egbuka didn't get it done. 52 and a half yards. I thought he'd be a little bit more involved than he was, but yeah, he fell short. And then we came kind of close. We had Quentin Johnston. He crushed that fantasy score again. That dude's for real. I think the Chargers are for real. Justin Herbert crushed that rushing yards. Jacoby Myers just barely cashed this 63 and a half receiving yards for us. And then Dante Thornton, probably saying that wrong, Dante. Yeah, I probably read that one wrong. I mean, obviously it didn't hit, but I expected him to get just a little bit more love than he did. I thought that they'd be playing from behind. They were the whole game. But yeah, honestly, the Chargers defense just looked really good. And the Raiders just didn't have an answer. And Gino kind of had a bad game. He was throwing some pretty arid throws. Like some of his passes were just not great. Because his guys were getting open. There were a lot of opportunities there where his guys were getting open, and he was just like way off the mark there. But still, fun game to watch. And man, how good do the Chargers look? But let's talk about these plays for tomorrow's game. So I'm going James Cook over fantasy score. That dude's getting like every red zone touch, every goal line touch. So I'm going to be taking his fantasy score over because I think there's a lot of ways he can go over 14. He's a solid pass catcher, full PPR. Not saying he's going to go nuts with the pass catching. Probably not, because they're probably going to be leading this whole game. But I like him to get in the end zone maybe twice. I just think that there's no way he goes under 14 fantasy score. Tyreek Hill, he bounced back a little bit in week 2. And they're going to be playing from behind. So 65 and a half yards. If they, again, the pressure just continues to mount for Miami. They need to stack some wins. They can't just go get their butts kicked in this game, but they probably will. But Mike McDaniel is in the hot seat, and they're probably, who knows what the front of house is thinking about, like, what do we do with this team right now? They look like pretty similar to last year when you had all off season to work on these things. All that being said, Tyreek Hill, we know last year he was playing with a wrist injury. He's not now. Now he's kind of been in the doghouse with Tua and with the team and stuff. He's not a captain this year, blah, blah, blah. But he's still Tyreek Hill. He still looks just as fast. So I'm going to be taking a chance on this because he could break this in one play. That's Tyreek Hill. Like, we can't forget. He doesn't look any slower. So this seems like on a slate like this, I'll take that 65 and a half yards. Matt Prater, pretty simple. He's done this every game as a Buffalo Bill. 2 field goals. I think there's a good chance too, if they get up by a lot, back half of the game, second half, it could be the type of thing where he's, maybe even if we do see some like backups coming in, I think that they might not produce as well, but they'll just be stacking, little points as much as they can on every drive they can. They don't need to just keep scoring touchdowns if they've got the game in the bag, but they'll just like get up the field a little bit, just have Prater knock it in. That's my reasoning. And he's gone for 3 in each of his first 2 games with the Bills. So, and then Achane, I like him to go over. He had 8 receptions in that last game and 38.5 yards. He could break this off in one play, especially if he has like 6 or 7 opportunities to. He should be able to get over 38.5 receiving yards. So that's what I'm feeling good about. If we're going to be going 4 plays, these are what I'm going to be rolling. We're going to break it all down now. But if you guys haven't signed up for Underdog yet, use code BACKDOOR, play $5, get $50 in bonus funds. Really killer platform. Our friends over at Underdog just continue to upgrade the platform. They're offering all sorts of specials right now, discounted plays. You guys know I love streaks, so go give it a shot. Streaks is awesome. You play a 2-man. If you win, you can add a single play as high as you want, like each next game. So it's a lot of fun. Definitely check that out. Information's down below. And then Chalkboard, our friends at Chalkboard are giving you $20 just to try it. So you don't have to deposit anything. Just put in our code BACKDOOR and they're going to give you $20 credit. So go take advantage of that. That's down below as well. Now let's get into this over under here. So we're looking at a 49.5 point game. So not a low game total. That's encouraging. But look at that spread, 11.5 points. Shockingly, last time they matched up, Miami did better than you would think. But yeah, 11.5 point spread, not surprising, playing in Buffalo. So this game could get ugly. But I just think with the pressure Miami has, I think that they keep their starters in and try to figure some stuff out. Like if you're totally out of this game, let this just be some practice time for you guys against a really good defense. So let's start with Achane here. So in 2025, he didn't do much against Indiana or Indianapolis, the Colts. But then when they played New England, who is kind of like, we don't totally know what that means. It seems like teams aren't really having trouble with that New England defense, but still a close game, 33-27. And he had 92 receiving yards let's look at the receptions. Yeah, 8 receptions, 10 targets. Let's look at what that target share was. 27% target share as a running back. So if I'm going to take something in this game, I'll take Achane's receiving yards. I'm not counting on the Dolphins being able to get into the end zone, so I'm not really going to take his fantasy score, and his fantasy score is way up there because you figure if he does go for like 8 catches again, that's going to be 8 points right there. So I get it that it's inflated right now, but just give me the receiving yards, nice and low, 39.5. That's what I'm going to be rolling. Let's see what Daily Grind thinks real quick. So this is the DFS optimizer. It shows you the play you're looking at as compared to the other platforms that have it, and it helps you. It just crunches the numbers for you, and it shows you, puts it on your radar what your play's looking like, or you can use this to search for plays. It's really cool. So they love his rushing receiving total over 94.5, 52.62% odds to hit the over minus 130. And it is kind of low at 94.5 on Prizepicks. We're looking at 99.5, 95.5, and 100.5 on FanDuel. So the receiving yards are right there under it though, 38.5. So Outlier has it set at 39.5, but yeah, I guess we got it at 38.5. 51.4% odds to hit the over minus 123. I would still personally rather just take the receiving yards than the rushing receiving combo. I just don't know that I trust the offensive line in Miami enough to provide him with the right type of holes to be able to break off some big plays, but we'll see. He's got the athleticism to do it. He's probably still the fastest person in the NFL. But yeah, receiving yards, great pass catcher, 8 receptions last week on 10 targets. So this just seems like total money to me. Longest rush over 13.5. They like that to go over 50.9% odds to hit the over minus 122. Yeah, they're not feeling the fantasy score at 18 as well. Longest reception, they like that over 14.5. You could take that if you don't want to commit to the full 38.5. Because I'm still though, even if he doesn't complete the longest reception, 38.5 on that kind of target share, I just don't see how he doesn't do that. So even on that 38.5, BetMGM has it down at 37.5, but they have it at a minus 140. Pinnacle has it at 50-50 shot. So everyone's giving us this between 37.5 and 39.5. Actually, we do have a 40.5. So go with your gut. You have some other options here for Achane. Let's move on here. Tyreek Hill. So yeah, kind of had a little bounce back. It was his best game in like a year. 109 yards, excuse me. And his average yards per reception was 18.2 yards in that game. So let's see what his longest one was. 47. See, that's what I'm saying. It's not crazy to say that Tyreek could break this off in one play. I know that that's like best case scenario, but he's that type of guy. If he gets away, he's gone. You're not going to catch him. You're not going to catch him from behind. Not Tyreek. So I think this is nice and low. We're not banking on him meeting his receptions. We're not banking on him getting into the end zone. If he cashes his fantasy score and whatnot, I think that he's beaten this 65.5 receiving yards. So yeah, target share. He doesn't really get a big target share. It's been kind of the problem. If we go back to that game last year against Cleveland, he had a 30% target share. But yeah, so far he had 18% and 19%. It's because they're moving the ball around a lot. It looks like Achane is just the number one receiver at 27%, which is crazy. But one thing I forgot to mention about Achane, let's look at the head-to-head. You see how well he's done with receiving against the Bills? Both matchups last year, he went for 69 and he went for 58. So that's in one of the games. The more recent one was 27-30, close game, and then 31-10. Even when they got crushed, he still had 69 receiving yards because they're playing from behind and they're passing the ball more than they're running the ball. So I love that for both of these guys, really playing from behind, more passing plays. So yeah, this is kind of like the return. It wasn't the craziest day, but the return for Tyreek Hill. It's what we've been waiting to see before we are comfortable jumping back on Tyreek for these types of plays. Let's look at his head-to-head. So yeah, first time out in that 31-10, not great. And then next time he matched up, he went for 80 yards. How many receptions did he have in that game? 5 targets, 4 receptions. So yeah, he went for 80 yards on 4 receptions. That's kind of what we're hoping we see tomorrow, at least that. His target share in that game was only 17%, but he doesn't need a lot to get over 100 yards. He can make it happen. So yeah, I'm feeling good about Tyreek. I honestly am. I've been sitting on, or he's been sitting on my bench in Dynasty for like 2 years, and I'm just unwilling to trade him for what people will give me for him right now, because he's not that old for a wide receiver. People think that, you're around that 30 mark, you're too old, but not as a wide receiver. Look at Travis Kelce. He's a tight end, which is even lower mark for fall off, with the type of position that is. Wide receivers can play for a while. All right, so they're not feeling the fantasy score. They don't like the longest reception, and they don't like the 65.5 receiving yards. So go with your gut. They have it favored to the under, just barely. 50.51% odds to hit the under. Let's see. Yeah. Pinnacle has it just barely favored to the under. They've got it barely favored to the over. FanDuel has it at a 50-50 shot for the 64.5. I think he's going to do it. So they think he's going to get the receptions, just barely as well. They think he's going for 6 receptions, so 50.19%, just barely. But if he goes for 6 receptions, you don't think that, does that even make sense? Like, it doesn't to me. Last time he played them, he averaged 20 yards per reception. Doesn't mean he's always going to do that, but his last game out, he averaged 18 per reception. So if he goes for 6, he would have to be just getting 10 yards per reception on 6 catches to not hit that. Because even if you went for 12, that's 70, right? 72. Yeah, that's 72 yards. So I am good with this. If he averages 11 yards per reception, that would cash it. If he goes for 6 receptions, like the optimizer is saying they think he will. So, I'm actually pretty confident about this play in Tyreek. But yeah, most everything else they're not really feeling. So go with your gut. That's the name of the game. You got to figure out for yourself what you want what you want to put in your slip. So Matt Prater. All right, so this is his 2025 season, small sample size, 3 against Baltimore, 3 against the Jets. So we got a game that was really close, 41-40, 3 field goals. Then we got a game that was more of a blowout, 30-10, still 3, you know, like, I think that this looks good no matter any way you chop it up. And field goals allowed, 27th. So the average team in general, whoever they play so far, against Miami averages 3 made field goals. So this is Prater, who's been just locked in with his new team. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. If we look at his last 5, dating back to last year, he's still done it 4 out of 5 games. So I think that he's come out hot, and Buffalo's loving that they can. I mean, that's 9 points for them. You know, that's pretty solid. That stacks up if you start to get a guy that you can just be like, all right, instead of trying to convert on 4th down, we're in Prater's range. Let's just get the points and keep stacking the points. So I feel pretty confident about this play. I hope we get another sweep. Let's see if they even have Prater on the optimizer. So there's not as much to break down for Prater. No, they're not feeling it. So go with your gut. They don't like the 2 field goals, 52.69% odds to hit the under, but they do like the kicking points over 7.5. And I get it. There's going to be a lot of extra points probably, because there's probably going to be a lot of touchdowns. But I still just think, even if they run up the score and, Josh Allen and some of the other starters don't play the 4th quarter, I think that the backups, Mitch Trubisky goes out there, doesn't, get all the way to the red zone, but gets them over the 50, gets them, maybe 40, 45 yards out. And they're like, okay, like we're just going to give it to Prater and close this game out. So that's my thought process. You guys can do whatever you want though. All right, James Cook. So this is his last 5 games. 4 out of 5 games, he's gone for at least 18 fantasy score. He started getting nasty with the touchdowns later last year. Even in a blowout, like against the Broncos last year, 31, he still went for 18. And then in a loss, he goes for 28 against Kansas City. But first 2 games, 21 and 26. So he's got such a soft matchup. Let's look at TDs to running backs. So Miami's already 25th in TDs allowed. And okay, so they're pretty solid against touchdowns by running backs. So there you go. Maybe I'm wrong. I just think he's getting in because Miami looks like total trash right now. But yeah, technically they're ranked number 1. I guess running backs don't get touchdowns against them. I think James Cook is going to change that. Let's look at the head-to-head. Okay, so he had 3 in the first matchup and none in that closer matchup. Let's see. Red zone rush share. Okay, so he only had 2 attempts and they did stop him, so good for them. The defense doesn't look quite the same this year as they did last year, but yeah. So he had 5 attempts. No, he had 2 attempts out of 5 total. I think some of that too is just Josh Allen sneaking in, but it seems like they've been kind of utilizing James Cook a little bit more. Let's see what the rest of his stuff looked like in that game, just in case the touchdowns aren't there. In the head-to-head, okay, so he went, if you'd rather pivot to his receiving yards, I saw that was popular. You could take that. He cashed it in both head-to-heads last year. Let's look at his fantasy score. So he went for 28.5 in the first matchup and then 11.9. So I still feel good about it. Let's take a look here. Daily grind. Okay, yeah, they're not feeling the fantasy score. 51.9% odds to hit the under. They like his receptions over 2 if you'd rather pivot to that. They like longest rush over 14.5, and they do like the receiving yards over. That does seem really low. But I think he's probably going to cash the receiving yards. But if he doesn't, it could be because Buffalo is ahead significantly right out of the gates, and they don't need to be making pass plays. They're going to be running the clock and running the ball. Doesn't mean that James Cook isn't going to exceed 12.5 receiving yards. That does seem kind of silly. They also like the longest reception over 8.5. So you guys have plenty of pivots. I'll show you what else is on the board for tomorrow's game on the DFS optimizer. If you want to jump into something else. They love Tua's fantasy score over 14.5. Look at that, 60.17% odds to hit the over, -151. It is pretty wild because BetMGM is the only other platform that's offering that, and they have it at 18.6, and it's at 14.5. So yeah, do your thing if you guys want to take that. Malik Washington over 2.5 receptions. They like that to go over. They like Dalton Kincaid over 15.5 on longest reception. You know what else I thought looked good was Dawson Knox has a demon for 1.5 receptions, and I like it. Like, I thought about putting it in the video because in an interview in the offseason, Josh Allen was asked who his 2 breakouts are on the team, like who's going to break out on offense this year. And he said Keon Coleman and Dawson Knox. And he said he thinks Dawson Knox, he's like, we need to get him more involved. And all the Dalton Kincaid truthers probably were not happy to hear that. But Dawson Knox, 2 receptions as a demon, that'll be in some of my slips tomorrow. Matt Prater, they like the 7.5 kicking points. James Cook over 2 receptions, they like that as well. They like Kincaid over 3 receptions. There's those receiving yards for Achane. Josh Allen passing yards. The reason I stay away from, I'm mostly like, especially on a single game slate, the correlation that you get penalized for, if you have, I guess if you're matching it with Prater, it wouldn't matter on just a 4-man, but I just hate the way they penalize the multiplier. If you take passing yards for quarterbacks, that's why I like looking for the rushing yards. I also think there's just a lot of gems with the lines for quarterback rushing yards just tend to be low. Like, in my opinion, on a lot of them tend to have a pretty decent hit rate on those. James Cook, longest rush over 14.5. Josh Allen pass attempts over 29.5. And Joshua Palmer, longest reception, 17.5. Yeah, and then there's Keon Coleman. They like his receiving yards over as well, 43.5. But that's going to do it, guys. I appreciate you tuning in. Do me a favor, like the video, and they give you this new option now for small creators. There's a little hype button after you like it. If you guys don't mind just hyping my channel a little bit, I really appreciate it. It goes a long way trying to get in front of a larger audience here. But drop me a comment if you guys have questions about plays. I'll be pretty free tomorrow. So if you're looking at a play, you want me to look it up on Outlier or whatever, like, just let me know. We can chat about it in the comments. But have a great night, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.